Okay, last video of the day. I wanted to make a theory video today, so I'm going to be doing it while I'm doing this. Today's theory is... Now, I have not 100% completed the entire game, but I have seen the entire game, so I do know, like, a bit about this, right? So, like, for example, FNAF, if you listen to the FNAF tapes, like the tapes, there's gonna be a bunch of spoilers about like the game and all that. So I would recommend if you don't want to hear spoilers or anything, play the game first. But basically, there's these tapes, right, that you listen to, and in the tapes you hear this person talking, and people always are talking about in theories how, oh, well, that's, obviously who Vanny is. But I have a theory on that, because so, for, again, about to be spoilers. I'm gonna die here. I am gonna die. Yep, there we go. But basically, in here, I'll just let that go for a little bit. In FNAF VR, when you play, the tapes, you hear this person talking, and people always say, oh my goodness, that's Vanny. But what if, right? What if, instead of being Vanny, and there's probably something I'm missing that could mean that it is actually Vanny, but here's my thought. So, in FNAF Security Breach, again, spoilers for the game, I recommend playing both this game and Security Breach, because that's what I'm going to be talking about. In both of those games, there's, there's, in Security Breach, there's Vanny and Vanessa, which are supposedly supposed to be the same person, but in one of the endings, the burning the whole place down ending, you obviously see how there is, sorry. You see how there is, Vanessa and Vanny are separate people. But how does that make sense? Some people say it's a spirit, some people say it's whatever, right? What if, in reality, it's actually, the person who's Tape Girl is Vanessa, and the person who is, talking in the mask when you do the Halloween update and all that, that is Vanny. So there you go, Vanessa and Vanny. There's other YouTubers who have talked about, Vanessa and Vanny being two separate people and all that, being like sisters or whatever. And I think that would explain why there's such a difference in the voice, right? So yeah. I mean, I think it makes sense. Vanessa being, the person who... Because I haven't really compared their voices, but again, this is at least something just to think about. So yeah, I think Vanessa probably is, the Tape Girl, and then Vanny is probably the person you hear when you put the mask on. Oh, this is really laggy. That's pretty much it. So I guess just, yeah, I don't really have much to talk about else, so, I don't have too much evidence. Again, this is like a small theory, so it could be 100% wrong in every other way possible. But I think there might be, at least something to think about there, because... it's so confusing. The whole Vanessa Vanny thing is very confusing in FNAF, both Help Wanted and Security Breach. I mean, who is Tape Girl, and why does she sound so much more different? Why does she sound so much more different? Like, why do they sound different? If they're supposed to be the same person, why do they sound different? I guess is the theory, right? And, I guess my answer would be because they're not the same person. Vanny definitely sounds like the person you play, or when you put on the mask, right? 100%. while Tape Girl sounds a lot like Vanessa, right? Wow, this is really laggy. Yeah, that would be my theory about that. I also had a theory at one point. Like, I also had another theory if, maybe they were both, like, maybe one of them was, like, a Phasgoo version, it was corrupted or something. I'm not very confident with that one, but it's, you know, at least something to think about again, something to think about. This is so laggy, oh my goodness. But yeah, you know, because if one's Phasgoo, like, for example, say Vanny is Phasgoo and she's the evil version, right? So maybe the Phasgoo turned her evil or something, I don't, you know? So, I'm not very confident with that one, but I am very confident with the possibility that Vanessa and Vanny are Tape Girl and the person you play as in, I mean, again, because there's another, like, there's other, like, one last tape that kind of contradicts that whole Vanessa, like, kind of, like, isn't Vanny and all that kind of thing. It's, you know, so I don't really have a backup for that. Again, it's really just supposed to be, like I said, it's really just supposed to be, like, one of those extra things you just think about, you know? Not necessarily a real theory on it, because, you know, there's definitely a lot of flaws you could say about it that could definitely contradict it, but, you know, again, good to just think about, you know? So, I'm trying to think, is there any other theories that may be possibility? Oh, like, I guess another thing, I guess another thing I had questions on is, like, for example, it's been kind of, like, I think, clarified now that FNAF 1 through 4 are kind of the games that the indie developer made or whatever, right? Or whatever, so if that's true, is it possible that the reason why in FNAF Help Wanted, that's how they're able to know what the nightmares look like, because they're not really real? You know? Like, oh my goodness, that's how they were able to find out what the crying child's nightmares are, and that's how they were actually able. That's why Nightmarian and Nightmare BB, for example, characters that were previously not canon, all of a sudden are canon, right? Like, they're obviously canon at this point. Like, maybe FNAF 4, possibly, right? I can see how that was like, you know. But, like, you know, it's like, how on earth, you know, how do you, there we go. So how do you say that FNAF 4 is, you know, like, because Nightmarion and Nightmare BB, like, the Halloween update wasn't canon, right? But all of a sudden, it just becomes canon out of, like, nowhere, right? Because Nightmarion and Nightmare BB are both in, you know, Ultimate Custom Night and VR, right? Like, FNAF VR Help Wanted, you know? So, and theoretically, if some theory's true, Nightmarion is in, or at least Puppet, which, you know, there are Nightmarian plushies in FNAF Security Breach. So, again, there's, like, you know, that, right? So just something to think about, you know? 3 theories. I'll summarize them all real quick. First theory, Vanessa, the one who you talk to in the, you know, the one who's talking in the tapes. Quick theory. One who's talking on the tapes, Vanessa. One who you hear in the mask, obviously Vanny, right? And Vanessa and Vanny obviously might be sisters or whatever. Possibly Vanny could be like a recreation of like a Phasgoo. Maybe it's just a corrupted sister. Point being, something like that, right? And then the theory on FNAF 4 animatronics. You know, obviously since I'm pretty sure FNAF 1 through 4 by now is confirmed not necessarily be real, which, you know, is funny because, you know, if they weren't canon before, they definitely have to be now because they're in like too many games that are confirmed to be canon. So which of the Halloween, because again, FNAF 4 could be, if it is like a game made by an in-game indie developer, right? That would make sense on how they would first of all know what a child's nightmares or illusions are, right? And second of all, that would 100% make sense on how non-canon characters all of a sudden become canon. You know, because it's in a VR game, and yeah. It just makes a lot of sense. Even if, like, at the time Scott was like, oh, these aren't real and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. They're not canon, right? And, you know, now he, you know, decided to change his mind or something about it. The thing is that the way you can disregard all that is by saying that it's not a real, like, it's a game. It's not, like, a real thing that happened in the series. And that's always made you, like, ever since FNAF VR kind of came out, that's always, like, been like, well, how do they know the events of FNAF 1, 2, and 3 and the bedroom and nightmares of FNAF 4? Sister location makes sense. Funtime gallery thing is very, you know, Bloor Gallery and Funtime Auditorium. Funtime Auditorium walking through the hallway, like through the room, is very odd to me. Like, that is extremely odd to me. Because you're playing, you know, you're playing FNAF, you know, sister location, but how would they know? Because obviously there's fabrications in this one, unless they are real and I'm just not understanding. For example, FNAF 1, 2, and 3, probably just based off the games the creator made. Darkrooms, Plush Trap, and Nightmare BB, again, probably just based off of the FNAF 4 game, in-game, right? Plush Baby, complete fabrication, in my opinion, probably. Now, Funtime Foxy. This game is extremely odd to me because they have repairing, which again could be like an actual thing they did in the restaurants, not something you really do in the actual games. And then vent repair, also you don't really do that. But then the nightmare animatronics such as Nightmarion and Nightmare Fredbear. And then you have something like Circus Baby and Funtime Freddy, which again makes sense why they would have the animatronics of the sister location, because there once was theoretically a sister location, aka Circus Baby's pizzeria, also Circus Baby's rental, all that, right? So there is how are we doing on time here? Just making sure. 12, it's like 13 minutes. It's fine. We're good. Okay, so Funtime Auditorium is the only odd one out, right? Because FNAF 1 through 3, obviously, probably based off the original 3 games. FNAF Dark Rooms and Night Terrors are probably based off of, like, other than the sister location animatronics, probably based off of FNAF 4, right? And then you have Plush Baby. You have Vent Repair, which are probably, well, most likely, you know, they're not in the games, right? Along with Parts of Service. They're not in the games. And then you have the sister location, Circus Baby and Funtime Freddy, which again, you know, aren't really, you know, they're animatronics, but we don't get to see what, you know, like any other thing with them. So that's why I'm guessing they, you know, didn't know what the sister location animatronics did or something like that. But it really concerns me that Funtime Auditorium is a canon thing, because that means they know about Funtime Foxy. So that is what concerns me about sister location being actually canon or not, in terms of being a genuine, like, thing that happened, or is that just another game displaying the idea of what happened? Could it be Michael Afton trying to warn people, hey, this is what, you know, William did? But that's all again, that's just out of the blue. That's just an idea that just came into my head right that second, because that is very unlikely. So I don't know what is happening with sister location, but it seems like if they know anything, like the characters and the building itself, fine, right? But if they actually know what happened in sister location, then is sister location genuinely canon, or is there something going on there? Could every single game up to, I guess, well, not security breach, is every other game before this that was created not canon to the actual series? Are they all just games that were created by a developer? Because I don't know if you've noticed, but FNAF 1 through Ultimate Custom Night are all like sit and survive, other than Sister Location, which is more like go and see the animatronics. But they're not really 3D necessarily, unlike how this one, this game and on is like free roam. Like you get to actually free roam. It's not just like being programmed or whatever, to just stay in one place. You actually move a lot in this one. Other than based off of FNAF 1, 2, and 3, where you're supposed to sit down and be there. FNAF 4, where you're supposed to do the rooms, whatever, right? So, theoretically, and I know the books don't confirm this, they only say 4 games, but is that possible where in that universe, the 4, like, if the books technically are different parallel kind of thing, where it's like, it's like basically the same, but it's, with killer animatronics and all that, but instead, like, those are only partly fiction, while in the games, they are all fiction. Something to think about. Not much more to say. I'm going to end it here. Thank you for watching. And yeah, I'll see you all next time.